Hi there. I am Suzanne Alexandria, and um, I am here just to share a little tidbit of wisdom that I received from my guides the other
Hi there.
day. Sorry, and it's um, it's really fascinating. Sometimes these tidbits come through, and I just like to share them in general because it's so wildly cool, I think. So I want to share this. And lately, ever since I went on a very beautiful spiritual excursion to Egypt this fall, some of you know that, my guidance started to show me a whole different perspective of what ancient Egypt was, which a lot of people see. It's just like I got to be immersed in the very galactic version of how that ancient civilization was formed after the fall of Atlantis, and a lot of energy beings and galactics were involved in the shaping of this very profoundly influential civilization that we know of as ancient Egypt. And they showed me so much about how it's not really how it is in the history books per se. There's another side to all of it. And it also dates back so far beyond what science can prove. So, in that vein, that's been happening a lot. And it's been happening in readings a lot too, where some kind of ancient understandings are coming through for people I'm doing readings for, because it's very important for the work they're doing and the learning and growth patterns they're in themselves. And so, just by the way, if this resonates and you are someone who's here in the new consciousness and you're building a business or you're working in the corporate world and you have a sense that I could be of assistance, there's some powerful guidance from my galactic team about that comes through, showing my clients how to turn something totally on its head and look at it from a different perspective. That's turning out to be very, very helpful. So just know that that's what I do. I channel in my sessions from a very high plane of reality, and it helps leaders accomplish their tasks a lot more quickly. So I did just want to throw that in because it was in the context of that this started to come through. Um, so what I was shown is the almost like the parallel of what we're going through on the planet today, which is a cosmic refresh. If you were to say like how you reboot a computer with a brand new operating system, you know that, like a lot of you know, you're getting uploads and downloads of, they prefer to call it uploads actually, upgrades of your operating system based on your divine blueprint, and also the origins of how humans were originally designed, that had been denigrated and depleted and changed over time by lots of things. So they showed me two things. I'm going to actually talk about three things. So that always changes things up. So um, one of the things was that they showed me the nature of certain civilizations. I'm not going to actually name them, but a number of distinct civilizations and groups of people today originate from the group that was in the area known as ancient Persia, that were practicing such divination of connectedness with their divine holy self and source, God and the divine, that they were known as whirling dervishes. And the practice of being in a state of such transcendence as a whirling dervish, being in total bliss and ecstasy, is something that a lot of us are being called to learn about and come into in our own ways and practices. And that's, there's a lot of dance coming out to help with that, and practices and meditations and even psychedelics are often part of that journey. So take note that our origin states for a lot of our kind of tribes started with that type of tradition. And it's just that that had been denigrated over centuries by beliefs and people chastising each other and stopping believing in the divine and stopping believing in the goddess. And the origins, though, are still there in a lot of you and me. And to remember that humans aren't all bad. Like we come of origins of extensive abilities to channel a transcendent state and maintain it and connect. And they're even like literally showing me what we know can be true, which is like reaching through the veil to bring forth even physical objects like we've heard of. Like I know someone who has been witness to the bringing forth of a gold ring through the veil because he was an Indian mystic, this man who did that. And he was in such a state that he could reach another state and receive or, believe so truly and receive that. So that's a precursor to what I was going to say. All that is to say, there's an underlying message here of like that potentiality to be in a divine connection state all of the time is what a lot of us are working on and practicing, and why we learn how to meditate, and why I teach people to go into their Akashic field and records, because it expedites that experience. And it's always such a great joy to watch my students learn how to channel into themselves and their soul's deepest truths and connections through the Akashic records. So that's why I teach my program. And so that project, I always look at this as a project here on Earth to advance our civilization and our consciousness. And it is happening through us channeling it in our new consciousness ways of being. And it can be very painful, can't it? A lot of stuff is having to get out of the way so that we can be like a whirling dervish, so to speak, totally that free. But what they showed was like, so if you've ever been to Cancun, Mexico, I've been there a few times with my family when my daughters were younger, and I loved it so much. I felt very at home in the Mayan energy and experienced it a little bit from a tourist perspective. But that energy and the Mayan culture, it felt so much like home to me. And I know there's a part of me there as well. But that I learned on one of my trips that the Yucatan Peninsula, like inlet or whatever you want to call it, was created. That is where the humongous asteroid hit the planet that started the revolution known as the Ice Age. So what my guides were showing me was that literally was an energetic shifting point. And you could think of that asteroid hitting the planet as literally an insemination, like an insemination point where the old immediately got exploded, imploded, whatever you want to say. And the new came through, and it had to literally freeze over the entire planet and kill the dinosaurs, except for some life, and leave some life. And then where we are became a result, and civilizations changed and consciousness changed, and then humanoids came onto the planet, though they might have even been there before, they say, and I believe that. And so to think about what's going on in ourselves as something not unsimilar to that, where there's such a cosmic shift, and especially right now, if you're listening to any channels who forecast the years ahead, 2025 forecasts, are showing some pretty fascinating energetic cosmic shifts on the planet, and it's happening through us. So this time, it's not necessarily an asteroid hitting. It's almost like an inner asteroid hitting our innermost, biggest wounds and our old programs and our old systems inside of us. And that's now starting to have an effect on the outside world and the outside components that are part of our world, like what's happening in Washington, D.C. has to crumble because we had to crumble our wounds inside of us that weren't working. That, they're looking at what's not working and what people have been yelling about for decades here and complaining about it's not working. Everyone knows it's not working on some level. Lots of people benefit from it. Lots of people, whatever, happens. And I'm not politically sided at all, but what's happening is the reverberation of the work we've been doing on the inside of us is starting to manifest on the outside. And there's now structures in place that have supported humanity, like our governments and our financial systems and our school systems and our transportation systems and all kinds of things. Those are changing because they came from us and they're for us, and they have to start to match the higher vibration that we are becoming. So the guides have also been saying, start to pay attention to how quickly stuff on the outside world changes as you change, or as you notice it, because you are creating it. In that sense, you're creating your reality. And so I just had to hop on here and share that because it was like burning a hole in my pocket, my throat. And the nature of our evolution is heightening, it's quickening, and pay attention to that quickening, because it's not all devastation. It's purposeful destruction for purposeful regrowth of purposeful new life in the form of purposeful new consciousness, then resulting in purposeful new things on the outer world changing. And that's what the council wanted me to share today. And so if there's anything of that you take with you, I'd love to hear in the comments. And again, if you are knowing that you're part of something shifting in your outer world and you're seeking some guidance on that, my readings are getting very, very, very powerfully connected to this kind of thing, and who you are as a soul and what you are bringing into the matrix, if you will, or the collective, the world, to bring towards a more humanitarian, a more human and divine vibration and way of being. So I would love to work with you or talk to you if that if assistance in that way is of assistance. And I would love just to hear comments about this notion that the ice age, that asteroid, I mean, what it brought was more on par with a shift in consciousness than we think. I mean, that's pretty wild, but it makes sense because it's all consciousness. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next video that I create, and I would love to be in touch with you. Join my newsletter at SuzanneAlexandria.com to stay in touch, and definitely subscribe if you like these, and then they'll pop up in your fields for you when you most need it. All right, in service to your heart and your light and who you are, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.